Kia ora, greetings and welcome. I am Guru. Now, we all know State of Decay 3 is still a long way off, and it's anyone's guess as to what this game might look like and what it contains. In this video, however, we will be avoiding specifics, instead looking at what the game must deliver on in terms of the player experience. Instead of looking at the detail, we elevate our view up into the meta. For State of Decay 3 to really make a AAA title entrance into the zombie survival genre, they will have to deliver an unprecedented level of sophistication and depth. I could describe this by throwing a lot of big words at you, or I could sum it all up in just 3. Westworld with zombies. Now hang on a sec. I'm not suggesting State of Decay 3 should be set in the Wild West in the 1800s. No, not at all. What I am saying is that the player experience in State of Decay 3 should be like that of the guest in Westworld. Let me explain. Westworld was an artificially constructed world, populated by synthetic actors indistinguishable from real people, with programmed story arcs, motives, passions, and activities that gave them a true sense of purpose and belonging in the world. The result was an alternate reality of great authenticity, where the sun rose and set every day on a society and world that needed no living human amongst them to thrive. Now, in the TV series, fantastic sums of money were paid by pioneering explorers who would leave the real world behind them and immerse themselves in this new world. I want to be that pioneering explorer as a player, transported to a world populated with deep, rich characters in an evolving world with non-player driven story arcs, to be a part of the world, not at the center of it. A golden thread woven amongst many in the tapestry of the world. Hopefully that made sense. Now, you might agree with me, or you might not. That's cool. Every player wants to get what they want out of the game, so bear with me. While the world building may sound wonderful, fanciful, or even ridiculous based on your personal view, it is actually essential for delivering on the second thing State of Decay 3 must have to be the best game ever. And that is a full, rich, immersive experience for the 3 key player archetypes. Meta. The first player archetype is the survivalist. This is the player who thrives by surviving on their own or in a small group. Game mechanics are more important than the storyline, and player agency, or freedom, is key to this player's enjoyment and experience. To be satisfied, this player needs to be able to go anywhere, sleep anywhere, craft everything they need to survive. Picture for a moment a solo survivor, who among their few precious items have a bedroll, a knife, an iron pot for boiling water, a small drying rack to cure furs by the fire, simple noise traps to warn of approaching enemies, and just their skills and nerves to survive the long nights. Engagement with the main storyline is optional. Only survival counts. It is all that counts. The second archetype is the protagonist, or role player, for want of a better term. This player engages heavily in storylines, backstory, and sometimes even create their own. This player needs a choice of full game story arcs, engaging NPCs with challenging situations and moral choices. The role player, or protagonist, will need diverse and coherent characters and events with ever-growing influence on the world around them. They should be able to navigate different paths on multiple playthroughs and on different scales. These players should be able to get a true fulfilling experience, be their story about establishing their own family, or directly driving the shape of the geopolitical landscape. This is the player who wants to immerse themselves in the lore of the game and make it their own. Which brings us to the third archetype, and it's one that doesn't really exist now, but will be forged out of this game. The Governor. Now, the Governor is the player who wants to be the master of their own world. Why build a community when you can build an entire society? Why have just outposts when you can have outpost communities, or communities as outposts? The Governor sees the reclamation of the world from the zombies as the ultimate end game, building towns, networks, defenses, and a future for all, or at least all who subscribe to their vision. To enable this, the game has to allow these players to rise as leaders of their communities, then conquer and convert other communities, and appoint new leaders, create new laws, policies, and even government. It's this kind of grand strategy framework that will allow humans, even as AI, to take their rightful place as the most important, precious, but dangerous entities in the game. That was all a lot to take in. If you have found any of my video entertaining or engaging, please hit that like button so I know to make more of this, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on seeing it. Cool. Moving on. The third award-winning game functionality will be multiplayer, and it will need to be what I call open world multiplayer. Essentially, this means that a guest player can do anything that the host player can do. That means multiple player-controlled communities, separately triggered story arcs, even player versus player conflict. Now, there would need to be server control. Not everyone wants PvP, so that should be optional. But this approach would enable friends to play a fuller, richer apocalypse experience that they will be talking about for years. So to recap, if Undead Labs give us an autonomous, encompassing, dynamic world, populated by the living and the dead, where players have the agency and freedom to pursue their very own personal zombie apocalypse experience, with a multiplayer dimension where being a guest is indistinguishable from being the host, then I think we will have a game of the year on our hands, if not the best game ever. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you think, and wherever you are, go in peace. Ka kite. Bye for now.